Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NVIDIA Omniverse live stream, Insiders live stream. We are very excited to have this episode for you today. We have a couple of extremely special guests, new to the live stream series, actually. So we're gonna bring them up in just a second. Before we do, for anyone who's wasn't aware of the topic, we are going to be covering next-gen tools for 3D developers. During this live stream, you're going to learn all about next-gen technology for 3D development. We're going to share real-world examples and tips for leveraging the NVIDIA Omniverse development platform to build digital twin apps and accelerate your content pipelines with OpenUSD and generative AI. Specifically, we're going to highlight the latest version of Omniverse Kit SDK and developer tools, including a bunch of new templates. And we're going to dive into the NVIDIA USD code NIM. So a lot of people have been super excited about the NIM announcement, and people are diving in right away. So we're going to cover both Kit and USD code NIM in the next hour. Before we get started, a couple of really quick news announcements. For those who want to leverage AI in their workflows, we recently announced, NVIDIA announced NIM agent blueprints to streamline generative AI development. There's a nice link there for that news story. Super timely to all the topics we're going to be discussed, but basically it's a catalog of pre-trained customizable AI workflows that equip millions of enterprise developers with a full suite of software for building and deploying generative AI apps. Highly recommend you check out this article. We can discuss more any questions during the live chat, and then we will also announce that we have unveiled new generative AI models and new microservices for OpenUSD. Thanks to my producer Amelia, who's posting those links in the chat now. That is a great article. Everyone should check it out. We're going to be diving into, like I said, OpenUSD with a USD code NIM today, but this article covers generative AI models and microservices in general. And as we'll also talk, Omniverse Kit SDK can be used for developing microservices. Andrew's going to tell us more about that a little later on in this episode. And straight out of SIGGRAPH, we have all these great OpenUSD Day sessions that are now available on demand, totally ungated. So just basically, I think you might need just an account, but no cost to watch any of these sessions on demand. We have a wealth of great information from these sessions, and hope that everyone takes full advantage of them. And let us know on Discord if you have any questions or would like to find out about any other of the sessions that might be available through DLI, including a great new learning path that was recently kind of soft launch. So we have a nice curriculum for OpenUSD available. We've been chatting about that on the Discord and other places. And with that, let me bring in a couple of very special guests here. Oh, actually, before I bring in our special guests, what are these other people here? So we recently released our USD All Stars. This is a collection of amazing stories about people leveraging OpenUSD for their workflows. Really across the gamut here. People who are regulars of the live stream will recognize a couple of these faces, at least from previous appearances on the live stream. There's Matt Schwartz there in the beginning, who's an associate professor at NJIT. Emily Bomer also, who's on the live stream. But highly recommend you check out these stories, very inspirational, and will definitely provide some insight on how different companies and researchers and individuals are leveraging OpenUSD for their work. Now I'll bring in our very special guests. First we have Sasha. Hey, Sasha.
Hey, Edmar. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And there's Mr. Andrew Grant himself. Hey, Andrew.
Hello. Thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. We're really happy to have two very special guests here, like I said. I also want to thank folks from LinkedIn who are now joining us for the first time. The first time we're broadcasting to, I think we're doing it to my own LinkedIn profile, but we're exploring broadcasting to the NVIDIA Omniverse channel there in the future. So hello to everybody that's watching there from LinkedIn, and big thanks to Brandon Donnelly, my friend, who has been great at promoting this episode there to his great community there. Okay, so we are going to dive into two very hot topics, Kit and USD code. And before we dive into that, I would love everyone to learn a little bit about each of our guests today. So we'll start with Sasha. Sasha, you are you just wrapped up officially an internship at NVIDIA, but you're hanging on. Tell us a little bit about your background and what your focus is, and what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like Edmar said, I was an intern. I was supposed to be here for the summer, but I liked it so much that I'm going to be sticking around. I'm also an MBA student at Stanford down the road, and I've been working on generative AI products at Omniverse. And I'm
Amazing.
excited to dive into USD code with you all.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you. It's very, very appreciative that you've extended your time here at NVIDIA. As you can see, everybody, she's the headquarters right now, so you never know who you're going to see walking by in the background. Maybe we'll see Jensen walk by. Okay, Andrew, tell us a little about yourself and your background.
Sure. My name is Andrew Grant. I'm a former game developer. I worked at various places like Warner Brothers and THQ and Ubisoft before jumping out of active game development and going into tools and software. So I worked at previously before NVIDIA. I was at Autodesk, and I joined Omniverse to work on Kit and Kit SDK, and I've been here for about 3 years, and that's been my journey.
Well, that's great. And I've been on you a little bit of that journey. Andrew and I used to work together at THQ, so we go way back.
Yeah.
And Paul Callender was on that live stream a few weeks ago, and as well
Okay.
another colleague from THQ days.
Yep.
But really exciting to have you here. And why don't we start actually just defining what Kit is, because there might be some people. I know there are people watching who are very well familiar with Kit. We've had Damien on before, and we've talked about its capabilities and updates on it. This is the big update we want to talk about today as well. But in general terms, how would you define Kit, and who is it meant for?
Right. It's a great question. So NVIDIA, so Omniverse is a platform of APIs and SDKs and services that we're trying to enable developers to really easily integrate universal scene description, USD, and RTX rendering technologies into their own existing tools, software, and simulation workflows, and for building AI systems.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. And I see lots of people jumping in the chat. So thank you everyone for joining us. And use that chat to ask any of your questions or post your comments along the way. We always love to see where people are coming in from. If you find this content super helpful, be sure to subscribe and click on the bell to get notified when we have new live streams. But thank you for joining us today, Andrew. That's super helpful. And also someone's actually right now about asking about USD code. We're going to dive into that in a few minutes. So hold on to USD code questions until Sasha goes. And I think Andrew, you brought some slides with us to go over here, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you ready to share them?
Sure. Let's go.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to go over some of the what's new for Kit 106, where we're going, where we've been going since previous releases. So before this release, previous releases were Kit SDK was more of a monolithic platform. It was about desktop applications and primarily sort of targeted at like the 3 actual end user 3D practitioners. Now we're moving towards focusing on developers to be able to develop their own tools. I mean, it was always supposed to be that way, but like now we're really doubling down and making sure that it's possible and usable by developers to make their own apps, make it a disaggregated platform. We want to be able to deploy locally, on-prem, on the cloud, building APIs, microservices, and all that. So that has been our focus, and that's where we're going. And we hope that we have a lot of developers listening in and people who are going to be developing tools.
Yeah, I know we do. I see a bunch of them in the chat, some familiar faces from our Discord server. Let me interrupt for 1 second, just because some of the developers who are in our community, so people who are more familiar with developing extensions previously using Python, like how, so Kit is what really they would be using moving forward, right? And what is that transition like?
Well, most of Kit extensions and Kit is like just a bunch of extensions, right? So it's just a whole bunch of extensions. It's super, what's the word I'm looking for? Componentized, so like you can make only little bits. So those extensions are primarily Python. You can even have, we even have a way you can use a Python module. So you can just pip install Omniverse Kit, import Kit as a module, and it'll start up Kit as an app there. So there's multiple ways you can use it there. And if you're a Python person, it's super easy. It's fun. That's what my development background is in Python, so I love working on it. It's super fun.
That's great. I was talking to someone in the community yesterday who is, I think they're watching right now, but that's the exact question they asked me. So I'm glad you were able to answer that so nicely. So Python devs, welcome. We are super excited to see what people develop with Kit, including, you know, you mentioned already microservices. So so that's fantastic. Okay, so there's the next slide.
Yeah, next slide. So just to go to like what's new, like what's the why upgrade to 106 if you're already using previous versions of Kit. So as a developer, we wanted to make sure it was really easy to use all these extensions and develop your own apps. So in doing that, we needed to clean up a bit of house so that when you're importing your extension, you're not pulling in a whole bunch of other extensions, especially for services that don't use UIs, right? So you want to be able to safely import a core extension that for running your service, and it's not going to try to bring in menus and context menus and things like that. So just cleaning up and making sure that you, as a developer, have full control over building your own apps. In addition to that, we have visual scripting improvements, quality of life improvements for auto node, wiring, variable management, all in 106. And I won't go into the RTX rendering. There's a bazillion things that goes on with the rendering improvements. Too many for me to list. That's really not my focus, is the rendering itself, although it's a huge focus of the actual platform. But a lot of great material and rendering improvements also in the Kit release.
Amazing.
So so there's different ways you can start. So like you can usually, you know, if you're doing traditional work, you can just download the Kit SDK and build apps. That way, like the Kit SDK that you download comes with a base editor that you can run without building at all. You just download it and run. That way you can get the experience of what it's like to work with Kit, just what your end users would get out of it if you're developing applications. And then if you want to start a quick start of developing your own application or extension, we've got the Kit app template, which allows you to, which I'll do a quick little demo of that. It's just an easy way to bootstrap and build your own apps, build your own extensions, and get quickly started developing. And there's also the ability to add an app streaming API. So like you can build your app, deploy it to a server, and stream that app and access it from any website. So let's quickly get into the app repository, and I will show you. Maybe Edmar, you can share the link to the Kit app template GitHub repo.
You got it. This is great. So basically, this as in the previous slide, this basically helps everybody get started super quickly with these templates. And
I will do something dangerous. I will do a live demo, just building from scratch from the app template. I'll just build the base editor.
We love danger here.
You can also, there's a service template, there's a composer template. So if you're used to Composer and everything it does, you can basically build Composer on your own and have your own Composer. Same with Explorer, and we're getting a viewer and a web viewer too is also coming. So things are on its way. I will share my screen. Actually, let me maximize this. I will hit the share screen button.
It's great. So everyone watching in the chat, please continue to post your questions. We're going to hit some of these in the next part of the live stream. And Amelia's been posting the links. Okay, so I don't see a new screen yet. Oh, do I? Yes, I do.
Go.
I take it back. There you go.
All right. So I'm using VS Code. You probably should too. It's great. So I've already cloned the repo. I'm not going to go over Git for you. I'm going to assume you know a little bit of Git. So I have, and this is do I want to get the latest? I don't know. I'm cheating. I'm using the internal version of it. I'm not using the one that's published on
it's GitHub. Very close.
I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's exactly the same. All right. So we've updated our repo tool, so you can just run repo bat and template new, and that's going to allow me to build a new application from a template. It's going to start up. So when it starts, it's going to bootstrap a couple things, gets a couple of Python tools. I did a git clean on this folder, so it has to completely kind of get some stuff. It might take a few seconds. Edmar, fill some time.
Well, I'm looking at some great questions coming in here. One is that regarding Kit, we have a question regarding C++ support. I think Damien may have touched on this a while back. I'm not sure if there's any kind of new news on C++.
Yeah, so in terms of building extensions, I presume?
Yes, I think that's
Yes.
what he's talking.
So on GitHub, there is a Git extension template CPP repo, and it's basically just like this, but built to support C++ extensions.
Okay, and actually, Data Juggler was referring to C#. So sorry, I said C++.
Oh, C#. Oh, okay.
But see, that's good to know about C++ devs. We have a lot of C++ devs, especially from
Okay.
the Unreal environment.
We have no plans that I am aware of for supporting C#. I don't know if there's wrappers you can do to build it.
Okay, well, that's a good question.
I don't have that. Yep. That's a good question. But that's a good thing to put in our list of things to consider.
Yeah, let us know on Discord. We have a Kit channel that we set up. Basically, we have a Kit channel. We also set up a Kit channel specifically for Kit templates. So we have two channels on Kit you can go to. So feel free to follow up with questions on Kit there. And let me see. Andrew, I think your screen left.
Yeah, because it was taking forever.
Oh, okay. So
it shouldn't take that long. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to
cool.
to finish. It should maybe the first time it's initializing, it takes a little bit longer, but typically.
All right, when it does come up, we do have a question here or a request if we can make the font size a little bit bigger or on the screen so they can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that when I show you.
Okay, cool. All right, great. So if you're following along, we are diving into Omniverse Kit 106, and I guess inherently Kit 106.1, which has the latest features. And we've been talking about how these templates are available to get started very quickly. And we've been sharing documentation link and of course taking your questions live. And in a few minutes, we were going to switch over to USD code, specifically USD code NIM. So feel free to post your questions and comments in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And welcome to all the folks that are joining from LinkedIn today. Okay, and I see, looks like there's another question here. I don't know if you could take this one, Andrew. Can you change the order of execution in the Kit kernel for some sort of dependency injection?
Order of execution in Kit kernel for some sort of dependency injection. I'm not sure. So you can completely customize the core loop and control how the run loop goes. We come with a basic one, but I'm not sure if that is really answering your question, some sort of dependency injection. So like dependency injection for what, to do what?
Yeah, you can feel free to, Michael, clarify that in the chat. And also
Zenject in Unity. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so that might be a good question to follow up with the team. So there are two places where people can. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you're familiar with Python, there's a lot of dependency injection type patterns you can follow there. You can also monkey patch. There's lots. It's most things are Python, so you get the runtime compilation of things.
Great. And I was going to mention that there's a couple of great places for support. Well, it's three great places. We have the documentation page, which we just sent over a minute ago. We also have the official support form, and we'll post a link for that in a second. That is where you can interact directly with the dev team, and it's attached or connected to our bug tracking system here. So very easy to assign developers to different questions or issues. And then the third place, which is my personal favorite, is the community Discord, where you can chat with other users. And I'm seeing Andrew's screen now, so I'll share this. Let me know if this font is a little bit easier for everybody to read.
Yeah, if it needs to be a little bigger, I can go bigger. Just let me know. So I run the tool. It got its dependencies, the Python dependencies it needed. Ask me for the EULA. Yes, I'm going to get it. So now it's going to ask me what I want to build. Do I want to build an application or an extension? I want to build an application. So we can see all these different templates that we can choose from. You can make a service application. That's a headless service that includes some service extensions to make it really easy to make your own services that will allow you to take advantage of Kit's USD capabilities. base editor, composer, explorer. I'm going to do base editor. So the base editor is sort of our minimal USD editor that everything in it is basically core supported extensions. So I can name it. I'll name it my company, my editor, my company foo. Foo. My foo. Because I'm a developer. I put foo in everything in a version. There we go. Now I created it and it added to my source a kit file and a streaming version and added to my pre-make the application that I'm adding and update my repo topple. So now I can just do repo build, and everything in here is well documented in the README for this project. You can read it and follow the instructions there on how to do all this stuff. And now it's starting to build. It's going to, so when we build kit, we use kit kernel, which is like the minimal bit of kit that you need to actually do everything. It has the registry manager and the core components of kit in order to run. It's very small. It's like less than 100 megs or so. But now it's got to download all and get all of the extensions that are required for this particular app that are defined in our kit file, which is all here. And so everything in here was pretty cleaned up. Tells you exactly what they're for. Got everything we need and nothing more.
Very cool. And for those joining us, go ahead.
Sometimes you'll see, like I had a couple errors show up there. This is just like a cleanup of cache. Right now, there's nothing to worry about with those ones.
Okay, that's good to know. If you're just joining us, we are covering right now Omniverse Kit 106, which provides a powerful modular framework for building 3D applications.
Am I breaking up or are you breaking up?
I don't know, actually. Let us know in the chat if I'm breaking up or if it's Andrew. We have a question here. Andrew, can you add your own template for extensions in this process? Andrew, I'm guessing it's probably Andrew breaking up a little bit.
Yes,
But
I don't know if you can hear me because I've got
yes,
some sound going
we can
on.
Hear you.
It sounds like someone can hear both. Yes, you can add your own. You can create your own templates. It's all set up in the repo tunnel. You can add your own, create your own templates. Yes.
Great, and thank you, Dave Jug, for confirming that we both sound good. Just a little blip in the internet. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like Andrew's internet maybe.
Glad you guys can hear me. It must be just because I'm downloading a bunch of files, perhaps.
Probably.
Audio problems.
Okay, I hear you now. I hear you now. Okay, so this is still building. Is that correct? Yep. Okay, and feel free to keep posting your questions in the chat for Andrew. Whatever we can't tackle today in the live stream, we will address either on the forums or on our Discord. And one thing we've been doing actually, when we don't have an official live stream on a Wednesday, I'll be hosting a little community office hours on our Discord, so people can hop in there. We could talk about latest live stream, next live streams, do a little community show and tell, meet new members of the community. It's did it last week for an hour. It's a lot of fun. And then in a few minutes, we're going to be diving into USD code NIM. NVIDIA inference microservice. Inference standing for generative AI. Here's a question from Zia. Can we create our NIMs now? I guess he's creating his own. Andrew or Sasha, do you want to take that one? Yeah, I think Andrew. I think we might be losing Andrew. Oh, here he goes. Can you hear us, Andrew? Yeah, I think Andrew's internet may be cutting out a little bit. Still seeing his screen though.
Yes, just to quickly chime in on that, I think the best way right now to use NIM is to go to the API catalog and use the NIMs that we already have on the catalog, but creation of NIMs is something that's in the horizon and on our roadmap. So TBD on that one.
There you go. Thank you, Sasha. Andrew, are you back? I have a feeling he can't hear us because we hear him.
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can. Okay.
I think it was just while I was downloading, perhaps.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's here we go.
I think this error is just because I think this error is just because I had a dirty repo.toml file. Let me try this real quick. And now that all of the extensions have synced, it should be very fast to build from here.
Okay. Cool. Well, this is cool.
Apparently my internet's not very good, and that's why it took a little while.
It's okay. I think the important thing is that yeah, there you go. That really awesome to see this doing live. People can really see how accessible this is, and basically you can do this today.
There we go. Yeah, I just had an extra couple lines in my repo toml that I didn't clean up, and now it's building just fine. And once it's done, almost there. Did I miss any questions while I was having?
Let me see. I think some of the questions related. Oh, here we go. It's a good question, actually. Is there a Kit SDK Hello World example?
SDK Hello World example. Yeah, I guess I would consider the simple extension template to be like a Hello World. It makes like a window that has a button, right? So it's like Omni UI Hello World. In terms of just like Hello World USD modifying, not sure we have that in particular, but I would love to see a teapot. I used to work on 3ds Max, and that was a big, we have to put teapots and everything. So now that we have that, I'm going to do a launch. So we do repo launch, and I'm going to do -D for developer. So like we're developing this for developers to develop apps that go to end users. The developer enables things like script editor, extension manager, and things like that. Because the purpose is to build apps for end users. This should be a static app, not something you can just add whatever you want to. So since I can build multiple apps within my repo, it gives me an option of which one to use. I'm just going to do that. We're going to launch this. Again, this is an application built on the base editor template. So that's the template we're going to get.
Very cool. And how many templates are there right now? Is there 5 or 6?
And anyone there is service, base editor, composer, explorer, and I think the viewer one is still in progress. I'm not sure if that's available externally or not right now, but there's at least 4.
Great.
And the first time you load, it might have to build shaders. It might take a little bit longer the first time you launch the application, but that's pretty good. There we go. Now we have our base app, and I'm going to just say, open some file. Connect to Nucleus. I don't know. Seeing how the sausage is made here a little bit. Where's our samples? There we go. Sample. The old astronaut. So this is a bit more minimal than the typical composer. Like I said, everything is core supported. That was part of the cleanup with all of our extensions, is we were categorizing them all as core or samples so that it's clear like the sort of support level and that you will expect for different extensions. They're not everything is core. For example, we made a lot of things as samples that you can play with. There we go. I have made an app, and I can go to my developer, get my script editor, link to the VS Code, do some debug settings, see all the commands and extensions. All right, I think that's about it.
Very cool.
Quick demo.
That's fantastic. So all the developers out there watching, we'll post a link again for the Kit page so you can see how to grab those templates and read the documentation. Again, feel free to chat with NVIDIA development team if you have any issues on the official forums. We have a Kit section, I believe, and then you can also leverage one of the Kit channels. We have 2 Kit channels on our Omniverse Discord server. One specifically focused on just the Kit, and then one on the templates. We'll be monitoring those pages a lot. So the Discord is mainly for user to users, but we definitely jump in there and try to help out when we can. Andrew, that's awesome. Thank you so much for giving us a nice overview there, so people can leverage Kit to build their own 3D applications, which is kind of what Omniverse platform is all about. So really cool to see how we've made these initial templates available for people to dig in really quickly and easily. Big thanks to Amelia for posting in those links. Okay, great. And we actually have maybe this is a good question to start with. So we're going to switch over to USD Code NIM, which is a large language model capable of answering OpenUSD knowledge questions, generating Python, USD code in response to text prompts. It's packaged as a NIM microservice. We're going to have Sasha go through some of that with us. But let's kick this off with a question we got a few minutes ago from Jared. Is the USD code NIM specific to OpenUSD, or does it have additional context on NVIDIA functionality as well, like Omni libraries?
Yeah, that's a great question. So USD code at the moment is specific to OpenUSD, and more specifically, it's specific to Python USD, which is an API that's used to author USD. And so it does not have additional context on NVIDIA functionality like the Omni library. So you'd be able to use kind of FAQ pages if you wanted additional information on that. So we're really focused on serving Python USD capabilities.
That's great. Okay, thank you. That's a perfect way to kick off this section. And now we're going to dive in. People who are joining us a little late, we're covering Kit 106 and USD code NIM, and have been joined by Andrew Grant and Sasha Nandav here from NVIDIA. And Sasha, you've got a great presentation. Want me to share your screen?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, here we go. And I know you've got a couple of videos too, so let me know when you want me to play those.
Great, thanks, Edmar. Maybe I'll start because I did see some questions in the chat about USD. And so just to make sure we're all on the same page about what USD is. So USD is a 3D file format that sort of underpins all of Omniverse as well as Kit. And it's pretty extensible. It's a pretty flexible 3D file format and ideal for collaborating on big 3D projects. And so to really get stuck into Kit, I think it's pretty helpful to get up to speed on OpenUSD. And as I said before, USD is effectively a NIM that accelerates 3D developer workflows in OpenUSD and Python USD specifically. So maybe let's dive in and start by making sure we all understand what a NIM is. So a NIM is really a deployment vehicle, and the purpose is, again, to accelerate the deployment of inference microservices for developers such as yourself. And so there's a few ways in which you can use a NIM. You can expose the API, the REST API. You can deploy it, and it's very simple to deploy. It's basically just a Docker run command. And so the general idea is that it's fast, it's easy to use, and it's out of the box. So what is USD Code NIM? It is basically a state-of-the-art LLM, and you can think of it as a mixture of experts with 3 experts kind of under the hood. The first is a knowledge expert. So if you have sort of a qualitative question about Python USD would be able to provide an explanation about concepts or particular API calls using that expert. The second is kind of a low-level Python USD code generation expert, and so you can prompt it with natural language and it'll create code for you. And then the third is a more high-level code generation expert, and the idea behind that is to help you do stage modification tasks, and it's enabled by a custom utility library. And so what would take about 200 lines of Python USD core native code to do, USD using its utility libraries can do in about 1 line. And so USD code is available right now on the API catalog. You can get stuck into it and yeah, try it out. And it's also integrated into a pretty comprehensive virtual factory integration workflow guide that, for those of you that were on here during the previous live stream, my colleague Alex actually went through the guide. And I think that's a great way to just put USD code into practice and see how it works for a larger workflow. And yeah, I won't go too much into detail here because we talked about this last time, but just highlighting that you can use USD code NIM to create content in Kit. You can use it to perform randomizations and do a bunch of other use cases in a virtual factory setting. So yeah, maybe let's dive in. There's 3 different sort of ways in which you can use USD code. The first is through the API catalog, which maybe I'll just share my screen and show you how to get started.
Awesome, this is great. And everyone watching, feel free to post your questions in the chat. We'll hit them as soon as we can. And the live stream that we'll put the link for as well. Here's a question, Data Juggler. So to build extensions in the future, should we use USD code instead of VS Code?
Maybe Andrew can take that. I think that's more of a Kit question.
Yeah, you should use well, VS Code for. You don't have to use VS Code. That's just an IDE. But for now, yes, I don't think USD code is trained to build Kit extensions. For example, I think it's only trained on USD code.
Right.
But you should start with the Kit app template, which has the extension template, if that's what you want to start doing.
Great question.
Cool. Can everyone see my screen?
Let me see. I can see it. Yes, yeah. Here we go.
Okay, perfect.
There you go. Yeah, we're looking. Yeah, now we see your Google tab.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to get started with USD code NIM is to go to build.nvidia.com. And you can search for it up here in the search bar. It's also highlighted in our generative AI and OpenUSD blueprints section. So you can go ahead and click this USD code Llama 3 model. And this takes you to our landing page for USD code NIM on our API catalog. And I think this is a great place to kind of just experiment with the tool and see what it's capable of. I'll pick one of the sample questions. What are some properties of a mesh prim? And it's going to go ahead and give me a bunch of different properties, radius points, normals, which is great. Maybe I'll ask a code generation question as well. Can you generate a stage with a blue sphere? Something basic like that. And that's perfect. It's giving me a short sample and a code snippet on how to generate a blue sphere in USD, leveraging the Python USD API.
That's awesome.
Cool. And then I think a great way to get stuck in if you want to explore even farther is to go over to this projects tab over here and click try this project, and it'll take you to some very comprehensive documentation on how to get USD code NIM set up and really integrate into developer workflows. And so the first step would be to really get an API key, which you can do by following the steps on the API catalog. You can integrate USD Code NIM into your preferred IDE. And so VS Code is the example that we have in our documentation, but this is completely generalizable to your preferred IDE. And so you can follow these steps, and effectively following these steps will allow you to use USD Code NIM directly in your IDE. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then finally, Andrew did a bunch of the hard work for us in terms of building, cloning and building the kit template. But once you have all of that set up, like Andrew said, you can go ahead and launch Kit 106 with this developer flag, and then you can actually go to the extensions section of Kit and download. You can download USD Code NIM as an extension and use it directly in Kit. So I'll show you how that works as well. But yeah, this documentation is a good starting point. And then just a final note over here, we have our workflow guide if you're interested in seeing USD Code NIM in action. So maybe let's get stuck into VS Code. I already have USD Code set up in VS Code. There's a few configuration steps that you'll need to take in order to get that working, but using the documentation, it hopefully shouldn't be too hard to figure that out. And so yeah, I can really ask any question related to Python USD. What is, oops. And it'll give me a comprehensive answer. It'll also ask whether I would like more information. And then I also have some Python USD code up on the right. And so I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and click Command L or Control L if you're on a PC. And I'm going to say, can you please comment this code? Oops, can't type. And yeah, it's basically going to go through your Python USD code line by line, just like any coding copilot would do, and write out those comments for you. And so I can just copy this code now and paste it in my file directly. And yeah, that's basically how USD Code NIM works in VS Code. You can also do code generation. Maybe I'll stop sharing and we can now talk about USD Code NIM in Kit. So Edmar, if you could share that first video, that would be great.
Okay, here we go. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, great. So this is an example of what USD Code NIM would look like in Kit. So we're starting with one of our other NIMs actually called the USD search, which allows us to search through a database of USD assets and pick the ones that we want. So we're grabbing a table, we're grabbing an orange, and then we're switching over to that third expert that I talked about, the stage modification expert. And we're asking USD Code NIM to help us move this orange to the surface of the table without us writing any Python USD code. It's basically doing all of that in the back end for us. And then finally, we want a bunch more oranges on the table. So we're going to ask it to replicate the oranges, make sure that they don't intersect when we put it on the table. And here we go. We have a table with 10 oranges in a matter of seconds.
That's
without
awesome.
Writing a single line of USD.
That's crazy. That's great. Very cool.
Yeah, thanks, Edmar. If we could switch over to the second video.
Okay,
so that was
here
an
we go.
example. That was an example of sort of starting from scratch. But you can also make modifications to USD files that you've already authored in other applications. So you can start a new chat, and I selected a specific prim, and I wanted to change the color of that prim. And it's a pretty big file, so it might have been annoying to have to go in there and change the color. So I want USD Code NIM to do it for me. So I'm prompting it with the file path of the prim and I'm asking it to change its material to black. And it's doing its thing. It also has in Kit, it has a really cool automatic error correction feature. So if it makes a mistake, it'll go back and fix it. And as you can see, it's changed the color of the prim from orange to black. Super simple. Okay, and then we're doing one more modification. So I wanted to move this car to a random location on the ground. And so I'm going to prompt it to take the current position of the car and move the car somewhere in the scene, but I still wanted the car to touch the ground of the factory. And while I'm waiting for that to execute, I see that there's a question in the chat about lighting. Yes, USD Code NIM has knowledge of Python USD and USD lighting, and so you'd also be able to use this type of workflow for lighting specific prims. And so it just moved to a random point on the stage, and I think it's really cool that it was able to kind of infer from context where the ground was in the factory and kind of make that change accordingly. Just as a final prompt, so now I'm looking for all of the robots in the stage, and I'm sizing them up by 1.5. So it's doing its thing. It's looking for the file paths and trying to grab them and then modifying the size. And there we have it. USD Code NIM in action.
That's pretty amazing. Very cool. Thank you for preparing both those videos and showing them. I think a lot of developers are eagerly wanting to get involved. We've got a lot of great questions. Thank you for Amelia for flagging some of these for us to talk about. I know, Andrew, there was one you were chomping at the bit to answer here. Let me put that one on the screen first. Okay, this is from Create the Imaginable. Sorry, I'm confused. Is Kit only for UI components for USD apps, not USD models like a 3D teapot?
So yeah, so this is a question I've had before. Like, what's the point? What does it do? Why don't I just get OpenUSD and work with that? So in addition to RTX rendering, you also get OmniUSD. It has some synchronous, asynchronous interfaces for dealing with the USD context and state, so you can react to changes into USD. Your kit has a command system, so if you're working with USD, you can build commands or use our existing commands to have actions, and the important thing that does is it adds undo and redo support. So if you're building an application to modify or work with USD, that's a really important system to have in your toolbox. And yes, it has the UI framework on it. So in order to build a teapot, you could probably ask OpenUSD to build a teapot. I haven't tried it yet to do that, but hopefully that will build the actual USD code that will make a teapot. Or you can reference teapots into your stage from your content library and so on. I hope that answers that question.
I think it does. He actually had a follow-up question here regarding costs. USD code free to use.
So if you go on build.nvidia.com, you will have, I believe it's 5,000 free credits as a developer. And so those credits are free. But if you would like to use USD code beyond those 5,000 credits, you will need to acquire a license.
Okay, and this is a follow-up question, I guess. On a related note, we could on an enterprise license to use USD code NIM.
So currently, I believe the license is through NVIDIA. An important note is that USD code NIM is only available for preview at the moment. It is not a fully deployable NIM. And so those licenses will come into play more once it can be deployed and downloaded.
Okay, so people should just stay tuned for updates from us news.
Yep.
We'll post those on Discord and the forums as they come out. Let me see. Here we go. Another question a little earlier. Do reference applications like USD Composer already use 106? I think the answer to that is USD.
So if
go
you
ahead, Andrew. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so USD Composer exists as a template in the Kit app template, and that's set up to use 106. The previous releases that are on like Launcher are on 105.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, let me see. Here we go. Another question from Jared here. Are there any pre-existing documentation for app streaming specifically used in existing apps like Isaac Sim? I've only seen examples that stream the entire viewport.
Oh, like the entire app and not just the viewport, I guess. Like, I'd have to check. I don't know what the documentation situation is for app streaming. We should have documents that answer that. If not, we should fix it. But it should be possible to stream either the entire app or only the viewport, or you build a app that is just a viewport only. That's one of the, like, as I was saying, with the cleanup of the extensions, we wanted to make sure that you can build a viewer app that has no UI. It's just a viewport. It doesn't bring up anything that you don't want.
Okay, great. Let me see. We didn't talk about this, I don't think. Kit 106 required for USD code NIM? Usually Kit 106, right? Only?
Yeah, I think it is best to use Kit 106, but as a reminder, you don't have to use USD code NIM in Kit alone. You can integrate it into your preferred IDE as well, or just use it as a curl command from the API catalog.
Okay, cool. Let me see. Here we go. Here's a question from Zia. Can we add animation, physics-based or keyframed?
So USD code does support some animation as long as it's native to the Python USD library. Anything beyond that, if you're thinking like PhysX and other Omniverse specific libraries, USD code NIM does not currently have knowledge of.
Great, great. These are great questions, everybody in the community watching. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Here's another good one. Can you explain the difference between Nemo and NIMS?
Yeah, so I think the best way to think of it is Nemo, I think you would come to NIM if you're looking for a foundation model out of the box. And then you can take that NIM and take it to Nemo and customize it using that pipeline. So I think they serve pretty different purposes. Hopefully that clarifies.
Great. Perfect. Let me see. Does NIM know anything about lighting?
Yeah, so I think we addressed this before. Anything that's native Python USD, USD code will have knowledge of. And so lighting is an example where it's embedded into native. So it'll have knowledge.
Okay, great. Let me see. Just a question about tutorials. Do we have any existing walkthrough tutorials setting up USD code beyond the stream?
For sure. I think the best way to get started is, and I believe Amelia posted the link in the chat, the documentation will tell you how to set up USD code in VS Code. It'll give you a video tutorial on how to configure it, how to set up an API key and everything. And there's also a bunch of documentation on how to get it up and running in Kit.
Okay, cool. Here's a great question. Is there contextual history?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. Something to keep in mind is that USD code NIM is an extension of Llama, and so at the end of the day, it is going to be restricted in the same ways that you would think a general foundational model would be restricted. And so it'll have context, but that context is going to, of course, dwindle over time. And so, yeah, all of the sort of limitations that you would think of for a standard foundational model, USD code NIM would also have. I think non-determinism is another good example. Yeah.
Great, that's awesome. Wow, you guys are nailing all these questions and answers. Very good, and great, great feedback from the community here. Let me see. Here's something. It's going to be good to answer. Can I use USD code document existing Python code?
Yeah, as long as it's Python USD, for sure.
It's awesome. Very cool. Let me see. Wow, these questions keep coming in like crazy. All right, here we go. Here's one going. Hugging Face. What's the preferred package to use in Omniverse for building Hugging Face transformers? OpenAI or Nemo? I do not know the answer to this one. This we might do a little further research for you, my friend. That we will follow up with you, Michael. Michael, we have a channel on Discord called Livestreams. Maybe that's a good place to follow up on this one, or in the yeah, I would say post it in there, and I'll see it. Feel free to DM me. Good question though. All right, let me see. All right, here's a question regarding the live streams. The stream starts spontaneously. Can I find my streams and topic plan for discussion somewhere in the future so I can invite colleagues? That's a great question. So we have an ad event calendar. I'll put it in the chat right now where you can actually look up any of our upcoming streams. We update this pretty regularly. As soon as we have a new put it right there in the chat. As soon as we have a new episode planned, we will put it in the ad event calendar where you can easily look at the details. You can see the YouTube link and add it to your calendar. And we will update, usually as the stream gets closer, we'll update more details in there as well. So if it looks a little loose right now for a stream in a few weeks from now, just check in a week or two and you'll see more details there. So all of our live streams that we've done in the past are on our YouTube channel. Just go to the NVIDIA Omniverse YouTube channel and click on the live section. You'll see all the live streams right there in order. But yeah, it's a great question. So we don't start these spontaneously. My bosses here would kill us if we did that. We have to plan these pretty far in advance to make sure that we get all the right information. But Jared, you must have missed the beginning of the live stream because I did do that. People can attest to that, but I'll say it again. If you find this content helpful and informative, or maybe you want to share it with your colleagues, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell on the bottom so you know when as soon as we go live with something. It's super helpful. Thank you for that, Jared. Never hurts to say it twice. Okay, do we have a question? Anything here we haven't answered? I'm looking at some of these ones that Amelia has picked out. I guess there's a good one from Data Juggler about the deployment, since this is in preview. So Sasha, when you mentioned before about something can't be deployed right now, meaning apps can only be used for development, not distributed. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's another distinction so generally with a lot of the NIMs, if you go on the API catalog, there are some NIMs that say available for preview, and then there's some NIMs that have some sort of other marking. I can't remember at this point what it was, but some of those NIMs you can only expose at the API, whereas there's other NIMs that are, when I say can't be, when basically you can download them and host them locally and then expose your own API effectively. And so there's a bunch of advantages there in the sense that you can, work on your own IP without worrying about, privacy. I think there's a bunch of reasons why local deployment has its advantages. And so I see a comment in the chat about the future of USD code. I think that would be the next big step for us, making sure that you all can deploy locally as opposed to hitting our API.
Okay, great. Let me see. I see a question here regarding a little earlier about physics. We actually have a physics channel on the Omniverse Discord server where we have a member of our team that is really fantastic about responding to people really quickly. So you can post your physics question there. Omniverse Discord server is really easy to get to. It's discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse. We have just a couple minutes left. Let me see if we got anything else. Here's a good question from someone who's not a coder. As a creative director with near zero coding software dev knowledge, do you touch upon the general mental framework to build generative 3D apps using Omniverse Kit through Cursor AI? So obviously, this is a development platform meant for and designed for developers. So I'm not familiar with Cursor AI. In case one of you two are. No, okay. So I would say
I'm
Zero.
not familiar with Cursor.
Okay. So if it's zero, feel free to you shoot me an email if you like. If you're not on our Discord server already, you can shoot me an email, edmar@nvidia.com. I'll be glad to help you with some resources we have um, for all types of users and creators and developers. We have a lot of stuff. All right. I think we're just about out of time. I think we got to most of the questions that were really geared for the topic. Um, okay, so I want to thank, I'm sorry, I'm just reading here some of the live chats. So thank you so much for participating, everybody and watching out there live. Thank you again to people, new viewers from the LinkedIn broadcast. I'm sure we'll be doing that again in the future. If let us know if that was helpful to you. Um, and of course, I want to give a big thank you to Sasha and Andrew Grant, who were just fantastic this whole hour, diving into two really important topics here at USD Code NIM and Kit 106. I think developers have amazing tools and templates now to be able to do what they need to do, and we are here to help you. Your success is our success. So anything we can do to help you, please leverage our Omniverse forums. Please leverage our Discord server. Leverage these live streams, and let us know what you would like to see on these live streams coming up next. But yeah, I agree with Zia here, great member of our community. Codename is really going to expedite production. I think that's a great way to end the live stream. I couldn't agree more. And thank you all and thank you to the folks in the background who were great help in putting this live stream together. It was a really fun hour, and we will see you next time. Until then, we'll also jump on Discord to answer any questions you might have there. Don't forget we have a Kit and a Kit app template channel on the Discord server now, as of just a few hours ago. So anyway, so thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.